but especially like Christmas or Thanksgiving, oh my goodness, I love to cook, lots of food. And I'd put them to work too. They would set up tables or they'd clean up the next day. In fact, it wasn't long, it's been a while, I was talking to my son because he still remembers all the people in our house because they were just as much kids as my kids, My kids had a trampoline, they were out there doing that too or whatever. And you didn't have to worry if you had alcohol. I would make sure you stay in, we got sleeping bags, the floor, whatever. And I'd get up on a Saturday morning or a Sunday, stepping over people to get to my coffee pot. As long as I had coffee, I'm fine. I drink a lot of it, 24/7, still do. That's kind of a funny story about coffee. My first command, well, in the Navy, and I think may probably started on shipboard, I don't know. They don't wash their coffee cups. So they get pretty dark inside and really looks dirty. And so I said, well, I'm going to be real helpful. You got a board with all these coffee cups hanging. I'm going to wash all these coffee cups. Oh my God, it was like I created the biggest sin. I thought the chiefs were going to kill me. And then another time, I was going to get a cup of coffee, and when I was first drinking coffee at home, I used cream and sugar, so I'm looking around, the chief happened to be standing there. I said, is there any cream and sugar? We don't put fucking candy bars in our coffee. Well, I stepped back, I said, oops, okay, and started drinking it black. He said, that way, if it's not around, you don't miss it. I said, okay. So I learned never wash a coffee cup and don't ask for cream and sugar. I figured too, with coffee cup being that dark, all the build up inside, if you ever ran out of coffee, you could just put hot water in it and heat it up and you'd have a cup of coffee. There was so much in there, make instant coffee. One of the things I love about the traditions, okay, oh my goodness, I just miss that so much, and which they have taken away bit by bit. So I'm in Hawaii, a first class, and I'm ready to go up for chief. I think it was like the second or third time. But this time I was stationed, I had gone from NAVCAM's East Pac to DCA, the Defense Communications Agency at Wheeler Air Force Base, Pacific. And it was a joint command, Marines, Air Force, Army, Navy. And again, I did shift work. Can't get away from that as a radioman. But I had only been there for a few months when they said, how would you like to go to satellite school? I said, oh man, I'd love to go to satellite school. Well, it was in Fort Gordon, Georgia, Army base. It was like three or 4 months. My ex-husband was deployed at the time. I think he was in ADAC. And I had the kids, and Mom, Dad, you mind watching the kids for 3 months while I go to school in Georgia? Oh, yeah, we'll watch them. So go back there. And then they gave me a car to drive down to Georgia, so I said, that kind of worked out real good. I remember I told you in technical control school how bad I was with math or how hard and struggle. Well, satellite school was worse. But I said, again, here I am, the only woman in the class. It's a good thing I get along with guys or anybody. Actually, I find it easier to work with men than women. Men, sailors especially, you know where you stand. I mean, they may command you or have a, but all you got to do is say, you see it coming. Women, on the other hand, I don't know about other people that have worked with women, can be very vicious and mean, stab you in the back. You don't see it coming. You don't know what, I've just had it happen to me more often than not. And I have never had really a problem working with men. I'm very direct. I say what's in my head. No, everyone knows where they stand. Anyway, I'm trying to think. Where was I? Oh, school, satellite school. I did well. Got my kids, went back. I had a good time. I'd never been to a station on an Army base or even in Georgia, so I got to do a lot. I kind of liked it. It was kind of nice down there. Go back to Hawaii, and it was, I guess, not quite a year. Chief results come out. Oh my God, this is what I've been waiting for my whole career, to be a chief. Cussed them all out throughout my career. I thought they were horrible when I was younger. No, I didn't. Well, back then, the results came out in May, sometimes June, and as a Navy chief, you go through an initiation, which starts day one that message comes out. And I was the only one that was selected for chief at my command. Well, we didn't have a whole lot of Navy, so. And one night, the thing that you really dread the most, I was one of the older satellites that we use. I looked up and it went flat. I said, oh no, we lost this whole channel on the satellite. I had to figure out what was on it and try to restore as much as I could. And by the time that they had called the day workers or whoever they thought needed to be there because I couldn't do it or whatever for help, because it was really a serious problem, was restored. And I got a medal I'm kind of actually proud of. I got the Joint Meritorious Service Medal for that. And that's not an easy one to get, so I'm proud of that one. I left there and I went to, it was called NOF, the Naval Ocean Processing Facility. It was a very small communication that supported OTs, oceanography techs, and what they do is track submarines. So that was kind of unique. I was the assistant communication officer there. I was the only radioman chief amongst a bunch of OTs who thought they were elite. So in the chief's mess, I was kind of treated a little differently, except that my mouth overrules everything, so I always seem to fit in. No one's ever a stranger to me. And I ended up retiring out of there. One of the things I did made me feel good is that they ranked, for promotion, they ranked chiefs. And out of all those OTs, I was ranked #1. So I decided at that command, at that time, the military had come out with this thing called total quality leadership. And I personally, I didn't like the program. It was giving juniors a lot of authority to question their superiors or file complaints, and they could basically ruin your career. And I said, I think it's time for me to go, because I was spending more time training this stuff than on military training or rate training, which to me is the most important thing for the military. And I see that as a downfall, because I follow everything in the news and military news today, that they are actually lowering standards to meet goals of keeping it equal, which I believe everything should be on merit. It's how well you do your job is how well you should be advanced. I saw so many changes from 1973 to 93 for women. When I first came in, we were called WAVES, Women's Auxiliary Volunteer Emergency Services. And then it was like a few years later, we were called WINS, Women in the Navy. and then it went to just sailors. But by the time it went to sailors, I was a chief, so it didn't matter. I was promoted to chief in 1990. The best day of my life. Back then, they don't do it anymore. They have initiations, which were not easy. The results come out in May, and the harassment starts that day that the results come out. I was going kind of through a rough time during that period because my dad had been diagnosed with lung cancer, and I had to go back to the mainland a few times during this. And actually, well, the ceremony, the actual pinning, is September 17th. Now it's been changed because they don't have any dates the way they were, and they don't do initiations. They just do pinnings and shake your hand. But the people that, the selectees, the people that were also going to be promoted, we had to work as a unit and group. And the whole process of the initiation is to work as a team and to humble you. And I remember coming back, and all the things that we had to do, we had to build like a trough, like a pig trough, and a hat box, and just a lot of different things that I didn't have time to do. And these guys pitched in and did a lot of things for me. And actually, the chiefs were worried about putting me through this after going through what I was going through. I said, hey, I've come this far. You better not cut me any slack. I'm hard-headed. I have to put everything else aside and just get through this. Well, one of the best things about being promoted to chief, which is different from any other E7 promotion in any other military service at the time, we changed uniforms. We changed into khakis. You can see my favorite color. They read, I wish I had it with me, the Chief's Creed, and it explains why they have put us through all these things. And I mean, it makes you cry. It just makes you cry. And then the pinning. And I just think the Navy, like I said, I'm going to go back to my time because they don't do it anymore. It just makes it so much special. And we all of us say, besides having our children, it's the best, can I say, the best fucking day of our life? I think for me now, because I've been retired for quite some time, but when I first got out, until not too many years ago, a lot of the kids that worked for me stayed in touch with me and sent me pictures of their kids and their grandkids. I call it fortunate enough. I had 2 different times single females that were pregnant. And a chief's job is 24/7. So my phone rang like 2 o'clock in the morning. Chief, I think I'm in labor, and I'm on my way. And I got to actually go through 2 deliveries with women that worked for me. And that's a lot different from being on the other end, having your kids, which is just something I will never forget. You can't do it anymore because the military has changed so much, and they call everything fraternization. But I always tried to give back what was done for me. And my chiefs was coming through the ranks, always had us single people over for holidays or barbecues. And so I did the same thing. There was always people in my house. My son still remembers it today because he laughs, because the kids that worked for me were just as much kids. There were many Saturday mornings where I got up to go get a cup of coffee, and I'm stepping over kids sleeping on my living room floor to get to my coffee pot.